All right, good evening, everybody. I hope you're doing fine. Today, we're going to be talking about some phrasal verbs. I'm going to be putting a sentence in the chat, and then I'm going to ask you to tell me what you believe the phrasal verb means. As you know, phrasal verbs are very important verbs and Americans use them a lot. So it's very important that we understand what they mean so that when people speak to us, we can understand exactly what they are saying. Okay. All right. So the first sentence is actually a question, and it says, which one stands out to you more? And the phrasal verb in that sentence is to stand out to. Based on the way it is used in the question, what do you think the phrasal verb means? Which one stands out to you more, the red one or the blue one? What do you think the expression to stand out to means? All right, for those who just joined, good evening. We're discussing phrasal verbs in English, and I have put a question in the chat. It says, which one stands out to you more, the red one or the blue one? Based on that question, what do you think the expression to stand out to means? Please put your answers in the chat. Which one stands out to you more? What does the expression to stand out to mean? Any answers? All right, so in the interest of time, that expression means to be more noticeable. So if someone says to you, which of these two options, let's imagine that we have two options here, something that's red, something that's blue. And the person says to you, which of these two options stands out to you more? They're asking you which one is more noticeable or which one is more striking, more attractive in a sense. Okay. All right. The next phrasal verb is to act up, which means to misbehave or to behave badly. So the expression to act up means to misbehave or to behave badly. So an example sentence could be, the child started acting up as soon as his parents entered the room. Okay, so the child started misbehaving or the child started behaving badly as soon as his parents entered the room. So to act up means to misbehave. Okay, and if you guys would like to create some sentences with these phrasal verbs, this is your opportunity to get some feedback to make sure that you are writing your sentences properly, using the expression properly as well. So if you would like to put a sentence in the chat, then go ahead and do so, and I will check it to make sure it is correct. Okay. All right. The next expression is to bring up. To bring up. And that means to mention. It's a phrasal verb or expression that means to mention. Okay. So an example sentence is, please don't bring up the incident that happened last Tuesday when you speak to our boss. Please don't bring it up. Please don't mention it. Okay, so far we've discussed to stand out, which means to be noticeable, to be striking. The next one is to act up, which means to misbehave. As you know, when you put the prefix miss in front of a word, it changes that word. So behave is a positive thing, but misbehave is not a positive thing. So to act up is to misbehave or to behave badly. All right. And the expression, well, the example sentence we gave was the child started acting up as soon as his parents entered the room. And then the next expression we discussed is to bring up, which means to mention. So please don't bring up the incident that happened last Tuesday when you speak to our boss. Please don't mention the incident that happened last Tuesday when you speak to our boss. Okay. Number 4 is to come along. To come along. And that means to progress. To progress. So if you see a sentence, for example, that says, the project is coming along nicely, then it means the project is progressing very well. The person is making progress. So the phrasal verb to come along means to progress. It also has another meaning. For example, a parent can say to his or her child, come along, meaning please come. So it has double meanings. It can mean to progress, like the project is coming along nicely, the project is progressing nicely. Or if you say to someone, come along, then you're telling them to come, right? But that's kind of like old English. You don't hear a lot of people saying come along, like my grandma used to say it. But some people still use it. So it's good for you to know all the meanings of the expression to come along. All right. Next, we have to call off, and that means to cancel. So we could say the bride called off the wedding unexpectedly. The bride called off the wedding unexpectedly. To call off means to cancel. So she canceled the wedding unexpectedly. They were not expecting it. So to call off is to cancel. And similarly, if you work in a hospital setting or just an organization in general, you can say, oh, I think I'm going to call off today. I'm not going to go to work. So the expression to call off means to cancel. Okay, so let's recap. We've discussed the expression to stand out, which means to be noticeable or to be striking. We've discussed the expression to act up, which means to misbehave or to behave badly. We've discussed to bring up, which means to mention. We've also discussed to come along, which means to progress. And we've discussed to call off, which means to cancel. And the example sentences are, which one stands out to you more? The child started acting up as soon as his parents entered the room. Please don't bring up the incident that happened last Tuesday when you speak to our boss. The project is coming along nicely. And the bride, which is a woman who is getting married, the bride called off the wedding unexpectedly. Okay, so in a wedding, you have the bride and the groom. The bride is the woman, the groom is the man. Okay, so the bride called off the wedding unexpectedly. So go ahead and create your own sentences in the chat so that you can start using these phrasal verbs, and I will check them and tell you if they are okay. Don't be shy. please put some sentences in the chat so we can check them and make sure you are using the phrasal verbs correctly. Anybody? All right, I know it's usually delayed, so I'm going to wait another minute to see if you put any sentences in the chat. Otherwise, we will end for today. All right, so I don't see any sentences, but hopefully you guys learned something new today. We discussed 5 phrasal verbs. Please Google others because there are many of them and start using them as you talk to people on a day to day basis. And I'm sure that as you watch TV and interact with people in English, you will also hear them and hopefully be able to recognize them. All right. Thank you for joining. Until the next time.